Hey there. Welcome to the Pine Island Experience podcast. I'm Joanna Anderson with my husband, Trygve. Each of our episodes will be conversations with fellow Pine Islanders.
The goal of our podcast is to share with you our experiences, what we have found to be fun, and what makes the Pine Island experience so unique.
Soups, they love the soups. I think a lot of, being on the island, we don't have many children. We have a lot of older ones that have been here, for a lot of years. And soup is their go-to. And so many of them are by themselves and they don't cook, but it's easier for them to take soup. We've done a couple soup paloozas where we just do soups that day and we'll have like 6 or 8 different soups. They can come in, have little cups, they can taste them and then go get what they want. We'll dish up whatever they want and they can come back and get more. And now we have it left over. We put it in our little refrigerator. It goes out the next day in the pantry. And now that's where they call Martha's soup. So we want Martha's soups.
Pat Downes and LaDonna Lippincott joined us to share their lifelong passion for cooking and the joy they find in feeding others through the Pine Island Community Church. In this episode, we explore how their efforts support the community with the Hugs program, serving hot meals every Tuesday starting at 10 a.m. until the food runs out. Their stories are warm, inspiring, and full of heart. So now, let's hear from Pat and LaDonna. We have with us today Pat Downes and LaDonna Lippincott, both from we say PICC, but it's Pine Island Community Church. You're representing Hugs program and the Food Pantry.
That's correct.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Looking forward to this. We had to wait till after you came back from your little trip.
Yes.
I remember. It sounded
Yes.
like fun.
It was.
So thanks for joining us. We're going to start with Pat. You were volunteered. Going to ask about where you grew up, where you've lived, what you've done, and then how'd you get to Pine Island?
Ooh, I was born on the road in Columbus, Ohio, and they picked me up and took me to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I grew up, barefoot. And my grandparents took custody of me, and my grandmother was the cook. My grandfather worked for International Harvester, so he always had managerial parties and the house would be filled. And I can remember 3 years old sticking flowers into ice cubes for her parties. So cooking has kind of been floating around. Ended up in Chicago and Pennsylvania and Delaware. And before we came here, it was in New Jersey. And Chuck and I talked for many years about having a food truck, which never materialized. But we came down and we were in the Florida Keys. We pulled into, first time I was there, and we pulled into a hotel and the music was playing and the bar was open and it was gorgeous. And I was waiting for the Florida Keys. Put our bags in, came downstairs, the bar's shut, the band's gone, the flags are standing straight out. And we were not spending 3 days holed up in a hotel room for the storm. So we got out on the road and I said, take me to the Gulf Coast you always talk about. So we came across Alligator Alley and I picked up one of those little rag sheets at one of the rest stops. And I said, Chuck, there's this place called Matlacha. And they have the Bridgewater Inn, and we can drink our coffee and fish right off of their railings. Let's go there. And that's how we ended up in Pine Island, because I guess it was maybe a year later we bought in this area because it's home for us.
Sounded like love at first sight.
It was. It was.
Matlacha or
Matlacha.
How about you, Miss LaDonna?
Well, I was born just 50 miles south of where she was born, in Chillicothe, Ohio. Raised in Chillicothe, hung out there for till I was about 19. Then I moved out to went to California, lived in Texas, and then came back to Ohio, and then said, I'm bound for Florida. So this is where we're at.
So you both have lived lots of different places.
Lots of different
before ending
places.
up here in the finest place.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It is the finest place.
So what were some of the motivations that got you involved in volunteering activities, and particularly, the food pantry and then the creation of the Hugs program?
The food pantry had kind of fallen by the wayside, and food being one of my first loves, it was the desire to get it back up and running. As I said, we had it in a tiny little office with just a few shelves. And eventually in 2022, we acquired another refrigerator and decided that we needed to take over the church kitchen. And that's where we now have 4 freezers and a refrigerator. It's just grown. It's grown so much.
What's a typical day look like at the food pantry, if there is such a thing?
So I'm going to let LaDonna talk about that. But before she does, PICC's Food Pantry is the only pantry on the island. People do not have to register. This allows the people without a permanent residence to come and get our services, because we aren't connected to Harry Chapin, any of the big organizations, which is good because we can supply food and we can supply clothing through the church and tents and sleeping bags, whatever is needed. But the drawback to that is we don't have the extra funding. LaDonna, you're a Friday helper down there.
Yes, I do work the food pantry on Fridays. We're very lucky on getting some of the things that we do, and that's what helps us actually brought to mind the Hugs through Pat. So we kind of feed out of there. And then we have regular donations that come in on a steady basis. We are 4 days a week, and we start our cooking on Mondays. Tuesday is actually get in there, set up. You have tables, you got to get your crock pots, whatever it is. Some things actually get prepared there, depending on what our menus are. In the beginning, it was kind of rough getting off the ground. We started out only doing 2 days a month, and that lasted about 2 months. And it went to every week. And that's been really a great thing. But it's grown. It really has. We started out with just maybe a handful that would come through. And now we're up to roughly 20 to 30 that actually come in from the pantry, or they're aware, because we are now able to put out what our menu is for the month. Mm-hmm. We're ahead of the ball game there. We, what we have left over does not go to waste. We prepare meals for the emergency freezer and with the leftovers. So if we have people come in that's from an emergency, burn out their house, whatever, a storm, they can come there, and these meals can be prepared. They're already prepared. They can be heated as far as a oven. You could do a campfire. You could do a grill, this sort of thing. So there's more than just one way of preparing the meal. And it's the basics. And we usually make sure they get 2 or 3 apiece when they go.
How many people are you averaging right now on a Tuesday?
On a Tuesday, with our Tuesday is about 20 to 25. Sometimes we've gotten up to 30. And then we have our leftovers. So that usually tallies out to about 50 plus.
Wow.
So we're on Tuesdays, we're feeding 50 plus people.
God bless you. I mean, you're servicing people on the island. I mean, there's a need there.
There is.
Sure.
If our donations are low, we hate to do it, but there's times we have to put limits on. But even if we don't get the meat, that's where these frozen meals will also come in handy as well. We're able to hand those out so we can give them at least 2 or 3 days worth of food. If nothing else, they get at least 1 meal a day.
Do people on the island know to donate?
Yes. Ours right now, basically, we are doing our own fundraiser. We do get things from Publix, 4 days a week from Publix. Wow. So That's been a blessing.
Yeah, you're probably happy to see them come in, huh?
Oh, yes. Well, we have to go pick it up.
Some of the neighbors will bring in mangoes when their trees get hot and heavy in the summer.
Oh,
and
yeah. And eggs, they'll bring in eggs and just chicken eggs, duck eggs, you name it, we get it. We do get like mangoes and papayas, and we have some that do what they call the microgreens, and they'll bring those in. You know, this island is, believe it or not, is a very self-servicing island. And that helps because we all work together. We make sure everybody has what they need.
You kind of touched on them a little bit, but challenges in running a program like this, obviously you have to have access to the food, et cetera, but are there just a prep time, but can you expand on that a little bit about some of the challenges you go through in order to provide that service?
Well, we had to start from scratch. We actually hit our thrift store up for things. We do not have like a stove or anything of that nature. So most of this is pre-made, or there are times we can use, like our electric skillets, crock pots. We have a slew of those. We have like 3 or 4 roasters, griddles. We've learned over the year, the time, what types of meals we can do. Mm-hmm. That's been the biggest thing. And we've had to sit down. This is what we have. What can we do with this? This is the kind of food we got. This is the tools we have. And we've just worked from there. And every week, we always have soups. No matter what, if we do a breakfast, we will have soups. So many of them come in and just look for that soup.
Sure.
So that's where we start actually working on Mondays. The 3 of us will do our soups at home, let them cool out, take them in the next day, put them in the crock pot, and off we go.
And now there must be favorites. Do they say we want that soup again?
Tacos.
Oh, tacos? Wow. Tacos.
Oh, the tacos. And that's one of our biggest freezer things too, because she come up with a beef taco, and there's always 2 to a bag, and we freeze them that way. So you get an individual come in, we can give them a couple bags. That's, basically considered 2 meals. They can never get enough. Wow. I don't think we could ever get enough of the tacos.
And they're beef tacos.
Beef tacos. Yes. We also do chicken, but the beef
is their favorite.
Are the favorite.
Soups, they love the soups. I think a lot of, being on the island, we don't have many children. We have a lot of older ones that have been here, for a lot of years. And soup is their go-to. And so many of them are by themselves and they don't cook, but it's easier for them to take soup. We've done a couple soup paloozas where we just do soups that day, and we'll have like 6 or 8 different soups. They can come in, have little cups, they can taste them, and then go get what they want. We'll dish up whatever they want, and they can come back and get more.
That sounds like fun for them.
Oh, it is. They like that.
Soup paloozas.
And now we have it left over. We put it in our little refrigerator. It goes out the next day in the pantry, and now that's where they call Martha's soup. So we want Martha's soups.
So we're called Marthas because if you go back to the Bible, Mary was Jesus's favorite. She studied at his feet. She was his right-hand woman. And Martha kept the house and the home. She cooked and she served, and she kind of took the behind the scenes against Mary. So we are affectionately known as the Marthas because we're very quiet and we go about cooking the meals and making sure people are fed. So
and anything else behind the scene.
It is. And we have a third person, Dorothy, and I always get her name wrong. Ketchy? I could spell it.
That's all I can do too.
It's the closest I can. Sorry, Dort. It's the closest I can get.
We just call her
that.
Dort. Yeah.
But there's 3 of us that do the main cooking.
Mm-hmm. For all if they have any special events or whatever, we're usually there to do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
When we first started, some people would come through and they'd want it to go. And we did it for a while, but to-go containers are expensive. And the idea behind doing this was a sense of community. So we have quite a few tables and chairs out, and we've finally gotten to, it's heartwarming to look around and you'll see all kinds of people, different, nationalities, personalities, and they'll all be sitting at a table and they'll be talking to each other and eating the food we provided. And it's probably the biggest heartwarming for me.
That's the grand prize because you've
It
got your
is.
fellowship.
Yes.
And they probably make friends and meet there often, get to see them again.
They do. We have, there is an actual little group it's called Friends of
Friends of the library.
the Library.
Mhm.
And quite often they'll come in and they'll run their little meeting, but they'll eat their lunch. Or we also have some of these volunteer workers that go around and work under some of these other companies. They've put the word out that they can come to us for lunch, and they'll come in, and they just come in from all over, and that's okay. That's what we
Pine
want.
Island Alliance.
Right, the
Mhm.
Greater Pine Island Alliance, their
Yeah.
teams, they'll let them know.
We'll feed them
We'll feed
in
anyone,
thanks
yeah.
for
Mhm.
their service.
Right.
PICC has a men's group, which Chuck runs every Tuesday, and they go out into the community and do projects or fix what breaks around the church. So we're happy to feed them a bowl of soup and a sandwich when they come back.
Right.
So
I actually helped one of our parishioners the other day. Their shed needed to be tore down, and they had an emergency. So the men's group went over because had been started. They went over and completed because they were getting a new shed coming in next week, and she couldn't do it by herself.
Somebody
So-
had to finish the demo.
right,
Huh? Yeah.
things like that. Around the island, they do those types of things, and we all work together, work hand in hand.
So you talk a little bit about how the fellowship is so rewarding to you folks. Have you had other people come back and give you feedback about, you see that and you see the fruits of your labor, so forth, but their own personal stories about what being able to get that food or that meal does for them, kind of on a personal level from their perspectives?
Yes, and it's more of the older ones that have been here. We have a little gentleman named Mickey. I think he's like 90, and he looks forward to that. And he comes in and he sits and he loves just being able to talk with everyone. And of course, he wants to try every soup when we have our soup specials. And I look forward to him coming in.
Mhm.
And we get several of those throughout. And they are the ones that spread the word. And most of these people are, like I said, they're the older, elderly, they live alone. This is a time for them to be able to come out. And when you can accomplish that, you've accomplished the most grand prize out there.
I know one day there was a woman I had taken a cup of soup to, and she burst into tears. So the apron came off and I sat down. I probably talked to her for about 15 minutes,
Mhm.
and we figured out what we could do for her, what we could supply to her. And our church secretary, Shelley, came in and I said, please get Pastor Michelle. So Pastor Michelle came down to help her. It's not just us, it's the whole church kind of fits in where needed. But if we see it first, then we'll try and help as much as we
Right.
can.
A lot of times we will see it first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll start there, and then you can get them to the
Right.
right people.
Right. Because I believe the island is getting comfortable with us now
Mhm.
enough that they look forward to coming to the lunches, wanting to know what the menu is. Because now we put the menu out by a month. It used to be, was lucky to get it out 4 days before we had
No,
to
I
feed
saw
them, but-
April's already.
Right. So we have, right.
Mhm.
And we have it out there. So they have a good idea, and they're already making their plans to attend or to bring someone to come in and just sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Just
There is a disclaimer, though,
yes,
Mm-hmm.
that it's subject to
change.
I saw
change.
that.
Sometimes that happens.
Hey, something happens. I think I
Sometimes.
saw Taco Tuesday on there too.
Yes.
Yes.
Next week, Taco Tuesday.
Taco
And
It'll be
soup.
packed house.
Yes. And then the following week will be an Easter ham, and we'll do an Easter meal.
That's lovely.
They love those holiday ones, though.
Oh, they
because,
do.
Yeah.
They do.
We just wish we were able to do some carryouts and to help out a little more in that direction. But, once again, that's an expense that it isn't quite a necessity at this point, feeding them in the here and the now. and maybe letting them take home bread or anything, something to make sandwiches with, is our focus at the moment.
Now, did either of you have specific training in this area, or is this just like learned and you wanted to contribute? And you mentioned like being, your grandmother was the cook and helping plan those parties. So self-trained and just want to contribute, or a little bit of training in any of these kinds of programs?
Absolutely.
When I
Schools.
met LaDonna in church that day, I said, I'm doing a program that I would like some help and she said, I was a lunch lady, and it was on from there.
All you had to say.
That's
lunch
it.
lady.
It's lunch lady. And, and if you've worked with any school,
Mhm.
that is the place. The lunch,
Well, yeah, there's so
lunchtime.
much that you don't think about. Like,
Right.
when you're here at home, if we throw something in the fridge, it's no big deal. But you guys are worried about preserving it, freezing it. You're serving it to the public, which you're not a licensed restaurant per se, but you'd still follow good standard. And so, like with that experience, it's kind of a framework under which
Right.
then what we can do. Or
Exactly. Plus raising kids.
Yeah.
A lot. Soups again.
Yeah, and these are
Where
just big
this-
kids.
Yeah.
Adults are just big kids.
They are.
Loving their soup and their
Mhm.
homemade.
Mhm.
You just look what you're doing for them. And you're doing it every week.
Yes.
And plus the food pantry is open. You said 4 days a week. So
Yes. And we pull, I will
Some.
say,
Some.
yeah, I don't know, maybe 75% of our meal comes from the pantry,
Of the meat.
the meat. Yeah.
Mhm.
The meat. It's a labor of love and tithing
Mhm.
from LaDonna and Dort and I, because we don't have funding.
And we don't
It's-
mind.
We don't mind.
The biggest part is taking care of the meat. Like she said, usually we don't have too many problems with that. And if we do, or if we see that we don't have something ahead, you always have eggs and you always have hot dogs.
And there's Sam's around the corners.
yes, things around the corner.
and
so.
you two know how to make anything. It's not every time it's a challenge. Yeah, this is what we're going to make. We have this.
Oh yeah. Well, you can create as you go with that kind of thing.
As a side note, we do both have, LaDonna had the safe handling credentials from school,
Mhm.
and I had taken mine through disaster relief with the Salvation Army. So we're aware of safe practices.
That's true. Yes.
Do you have any ideas for future? Are you thinking of anything? Is there anything that you want to add? I mean, what about volunteers? Do you have enough volunteers?
We're fortunate with that. Now, we have sent prayers out into the universe for a food truck. We would like to have a food truck.
You've been wanting one since the Keys.
Yes.
You said that
Well, since before that. But
even before that.
But we'll take it now.
Because we
You'll
don't
take it now.
We don't have a kitchen. We don't have a stove. A stove would be wonderful, but we don't have the room for it in the church because we're kind of stealing pew space to do
We are
our
maxed.
food program.
Maxed now.
A food truck, even just a box truck that we could convert somehow. That's our prayers out there in the universe.
Yes.
Is it so it can be mobile, or is it just to expand in the area?
So we could have a kitchen.
Oh, because you want a kitchen. Okay.
Yes, it would be nice not to have to cook on a Monday and carry 5 crock pots in the back of your car to the church.
We're pretty good with that too now.
Hey, we've
I
got
just see
locking
stuff kind
lids
of
and
slopping
everything.
around.
Locking lids.
Carefully balanced.
That's right. And I got my first locking lid, so I love it.
LaDonna's husband helps her carry. Dort's husband helps her carry. Chuck comes in with me every Tuesday and helps unload. So we have plenty of carrying, and we also have some lovely ladies that will come in and help us serve and greet people. So we're truly blessed.
And there are
that way.
backups and stand-ins.
Yes.
And
So if something happens, they can come in.
oh
Yes.
yeah, and then we always have an abundance, and we're blessed with that.
We are
too.
blessed.
Now, how do they know what's going on there? You were saying that is Facebook the best for Pine Island Community Church to know?
Yes, it would be. It's Facebook would be the best. They put it out every week. They actually put out their church bulletin, which lists everything there.
Okay.
And then they'll get weekly menu or
I
the
post
monthly.
that,
She
yeah.
does the
I'll get
monthly
on.
menu, and that's out there. If they come into the pantry or come to the thrift store, We have it posted all over. So word is traveling fast.
The best word of mouth is not the word of mouth, it's the word of nose, because they come into the pantry and go, what do I smell?
Oh.
Is that hot dogs?
Yeah, you mean you guys cook?
Tacos?
Yeah, I could just see them.
Yes.
No, that's wonderful. And then what kind of hour? I know with Hugs, it starts at 10 or 11 and goes.
We start at 11 until the crock pots are empty.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
That works out
But
perfectly.
we're there a lot earlier than that. We get in there between 8 and 8:30.
Well, plus you're cooking all the day before.
Just really a 2-day event for
Yeah,
us.
it's a 2-day event. And then what about the pantry is 4 days?
Mhm.
What are the hours of the food pantry?
10
to 1.
to 1.
Okay. And then people can bring things right to you?
Yes.
We do get a lot of people. They will bring things in, and then they'll actually come in for lunch as well. And we don't care.
Why not? It smells so
come in.
good.
The biggest thing is we're blessed to be able to feed the people that need it, but create fellowship for everyone. That's just an open door. That's our main goal right there. Make sure that the ones who need to eat are fed and have fellowship on the island.
So you mentioned Publix. Are there other donations of money or other companies, or how does that part work? Or is that just
Private donations. We
Private.
do get private donations. We have a little donation box out. Sometimes we get something, sometimes we don't. We will have anonymous people that will make a donation in the office or whatever, and they'll let us know. But we pretty much work whatever we need with the three of us. And when we do get, or if we do get, someone brings in and drops some money in there, we have a kitty that we keep for the bigger things that we can't. It's just more than what we can take out of our pockets. So,
Like Easter would be an example.
right. But we're lucky with that right now.
Oh,
So
good,
far, it's
good,
all
good.
covered.
We have a big old ham in that freezer.
Just
Just waiting
on us.
One of the things that we're working on now is trying to save up for a couple of wooden cabinets, because everything is just loose on shelves in the back of the church. Doesn't look good on Sunday, but
It doesn't.
Oh, well.
Organization.
oh well.
So have we talked about everything you wanted to let people know about? Did we miss anything?
do we say what days of the weeks that they can? You said 4 days a week. So
It's Tuesday, Wednesday. PICC campus is closed on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. However, that being said, if you come to the church and someone is there, it could be us working on something down there. Pastor Michelle, Shelley, our secretary, Jen down the thrift store. If you come in and you have a need, they will open the pantry and get you the food. They'll get you a tent. They'll get you a sleeping bag, clean socks, whatever you need. It's not just when we're there.
I believe there's a number they can call if no one is there. It's on the door.
Don't ask me.
I don't know it either.
but it's on the door.
If they go there, it's on the door. I promise you, it's on the door.
Or the numbers on Facebook.
It certainly
Yeah.
is for emergencies. So
Yes. No, that's very special. I can see people having that need, and you help them out even when you're not.
You would not believe.
the church was turned into a resource center during hurricane. So,
After Ian, we shoved all the chairs aside and
and it just was,
oh my goodness.
People didn't have homes.
No,
we were all,
we were blessed. We got donations from all over the country that we were able to secure and pass out.
I have a friend the other day that just, she's in her 70s and she sits around and she crochets and she's quilted. And I was visiting Sunday and she said, come here, I want to show you something. She had stacks and stacks of lap Afghans that she's made and quilts that will just lay flat on a twin bed. Take them.
Oh,
If you need them, just come and get them. So I said, I'll take a few and see where we go. Because we do have some people, you just know when they come, it would be nice just to offer them maybe a crochet that they could use for a shawl or just a small quilt for the lap. Makes a big difference.
like a hug.
It is. It's
Like a hug.
Well, this has been great. Thank you, Pat.
Oh.
LaDonna, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank
Chuck
you.
volunteered you, you know that.
I know.
And it was,
I still love him.
Yes, you do. This was
You will.
this
pay.
this was very wonderful.
Thank you for
you.
letting us talk about something that's near and dear to our hearts.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our Pine Island Experience podcast. If you have any ideas for us, people to interview, or any comments, please feel free to email them to us at pineislandexperience@gmail.com. That's pineislandexperience, all one word, @gmail.com. Don't forget to like us, and you may subscribe to this podcast using all the major catchers like Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Thanks again for listening, and remember, island life is a constant vacation. We'll see you on the next podcast.